Alright folks, let's talk tank sizes. From teeny 5 gallons to hefty 55s. Some setups are a chill dream and others are pure chaos. We're dropping a quick tier list so you don't accidentally turn your living room into a tiny, watery nightmare. Because yes, bigger actually isn't always better, but too small? Oh, that is a one-way ticket to stressed fish and an even more stressed you. Let's dive in. Okay, so here's the deal with 5-gallon tanks. They're super popular, low-key the VSCO girl of aquariums. They look cute, they don't take up space, and your landlord isn't going to throw a fit. People on TikTok are absolutely obsessed with them for those minimalist betta setups or those aesthetic one moss ball wonders that somehow get 200,000 likes. Yeah, they're perfect for tiny apartments where your bed, desk, and existential dread already share the same 3 feet of floor space. But plot twist, they're also tiny chaos cubes. Your water parameters in 5G have more mood swings than your feed. You're in a surprise celebrity cheating scandal. One missed water change, a pinch too much food, or your heater deciding to cosplay as a toaster oven, and boom! Your ammonia levels spike faster than Gen Z sarcasm on a corporate mental health post. Suddenly your tank goes from cute zen bubble to chemical soup. And yeah, your stocking list, about as short as your motivation on a Monday morning. Let me tell you, you're pretty much limited to a single betta showing off like he's auditioning for a shampoo commercial, maybe a few shrimp dancing around, or a snail being a tiny mobile algae Roomba. Try to cram in more and it's basically the fish version of a clown car. Everyone's squished, stressed, and one wrong move from a total meltdown. Those clowns just have it so bad. The wild part is people grab these things thinking that they're easy for beginners, and then 2 weeks later they're deep in some shady forum at 3 a.m. doom-scrolling horror stories about pH crashes and emergency micro water changes with test strips spread out on the kitchen counter like tarot cards. So yeah, you can totally make a 5-gallon work if you're the type to spreadsheet your water changes and baby your tank harder than your phone's screen protector. It's a vibe, just a very high maintenance one. We're gonna put this one in the C tier. Cute and trendy, but guaranteed to have you micromanaging harder than your situationship texts regarding every hey, and trying to decode if your fish are mad at you. But moving on up to our beautiful little 10 gallons. This is the it's not you, it's my landlord's pet deposit size. Honestly, 10G is kinda where beginner sanity start. It's small enough to plop on a sturdy shelf, but big enough that if your filter hiccups for a day, your fish won't immediately start drafting their own will. People run shrimp colonies, a sweet little betta palace, or nano rasboras here. Plant it up with some anubias or some java fern, and suddenly, you got your own slice of underwater Animal Crossing. Sorry. Plus, maintenance is still pretty chill. Weekly water changes, a cheap sponge filter, maybe a little CO2 if you're feeling spicy, and done. It's basically the standard training wheels tank. This guy, B-tier status, and well earned. You're not diving into mega water changes or investing your life savings in filtration, and if you catch that bug hard, trust me you will, you're only a hop away from scaling up without feeling like you've wasted cash. It's the perfect starter for anyone whose For You page is suspiciously full of tank setups and fish memes. But moving on, here's the tea on 15-gallon tanks. They exist. That's already half the story. They've got a bit more water, so your parameters aren't having a mental breakdown every time you blink, and more stability means your fish aren't starring in a nice little daily episode of Who Wants to Stress Out and Die? But here's the mildly awkward truth. 15Gs are kind of that kid in high school who was nice enough but didn't show up in the yearbook. They're less common in stores, sometimes they're priced weird, and finding stands or lids can be a huge pain. The hobby blogs all point to this being a slightly more forgiving upgrade from a 10, with still enough room for a solo dwarf gourami or a slightly beefier betta kingdom. You get better buffer for ammonia and nitrite spikes, so it's beginner friendlier than the tiny tanks. Still though, the 15G floats around in this sort of B-tier limbo. Not quite that glow up that lets you do a bustling community, but it's enough to give you breathing room, literally, more oxygen exchange and less drama, but if you find one cheap, snag it, right? But most people either skip right over to a 20 or just keep their nano setups, basically a meh but harmless tier. But now we are talking. The 20 high is the first tank that kind of lets you be the fish world's Jeff Bezos. Suddenly you're considering schooling tetras, fancy live bearers, or even a beginner-friendly Corridor squad dancing on the bottom. This is where your maintenance feels way less terrifying. A little overfeeding? No one's instantly nuked. Forgot to vacuum the substrate last week because you were too busy rewatching that trashy dating show? It's probably fine. You'll have more volume to dilute those newbie oopsies and your fish won't hold a grudge or keel over, which is good. Yeah, The 20 high is rocking a solid A tier for me. It still fits on many standard stands or dressers without requiring structural engineering to sign off. You're officially in the hobbyist territory, not just a tiny jar of sadness mode. Congratulations. This size is a comfort zone for tons of starter guides because you get variety and you get some forgiveness. Oh! It's basically the aquarium equivalent of discovering your favorite hoodie. Also has a hidden pocket for snacks. And who doesn't love that? But stay with me, people, because this is where hobbyists really start drooling. The 20 long holds the same water volume as the 20 high, but stretches that footprint way out. What does this mean, Mr. Aquarium Store Depot? Well, what this means, my friend, is that your fish get more horizontal room to strut around, better gas exchange at the surface, and aquascapers get more space to absolutely ruin their wallets on rocks and plants. It's low-key the favorite of many online communities because you can pull off stunning layouts, give your fish longer laps, and still keep everything super manageable. Feeding time? Your Cories and Tetras don't all pile on top of each other in a stress ball. Maintenance? A breeze. Filter options? Endless. If you're chronically online reading forum posts at 1 a.m., same, you'll see countless setups here. Planted jungles with neon tetras, shrimp armies, or peaceful betta societies. This bad boy right here is hands down S tier. Your fish will be living in a luxury open concept studio apartment, and you'll be smug landlord collecting serotonin from them. Look at you. All right, so the 29 gallon is that tank people weirdly overlook, which is kind of tragic because, honestly, this thing is quite the powerhouse. It is roughly the same footprint as the 20 gallon high, but adds some serious vertical space, and that means you can stack driftwood, tall valves, and pogo stems all the way up, giving your aquascape some skyscraper energy. Now, here's where it hits. This extra water volume gives you a way bigger safety net. Water changes can be lesser, maybe even never loaded with plants. Yeah, but more on that in an upcoming video. Don't shoot me yet. Because toxins like ammonia and nitrite get diluted in all that extra H2O. Newbie mistakes that would absolutely wreck a 5 gallon, like feeding too much or missing a water change, will just mostly roll off the back of a 29. This tank is basically the anti-anxiety prescription for fish keepers. People with anxiety spirals over test kits, you'll still test obsessively, but your tank's less likely to betray you. If you're low-key an aquarium goblin who wants more variety but gets nervous about bigger commitments, this is your zone. Plus stocking, it gets spicy. Imagine a little community with platies doing some soap opera drama over territories, neon tetras flashing around like RGB gaming mice, and a chill group of little peppered Cory cats doing the floor sweep, maybe even a dwarf gourami gliding through your Java fern forest. Sounds great, right? The catch? Well, because it's taller than deep, it's not the dream for wide aquascapes or big cichlid rock structures. You'll be designing more of a layered jungle vibe than a sprawling rock canyon, but for beginners, most of them that is, it's super forgiving, and it's still totally manageable weight-wise, around 330 pounds when full, which is honestly less than the collective baggage in your group chat. That lands it solidly in A tier. It's underhyped, it's solid, and it low-key lets you cosplay as a serious hobbyist without needing to tear out a wall to fit it in. Alright folks, we gotta stop pretending. This is the hobbyist's holy grail starter tank. The 40 gallon breeder has almost a mythical status on forums. You know why? With its wide 18 inches front to back, long 36 inches, and not too tall 16 inches, which means aquascaping is suddenly easy mode. You're not cramming driftwood or rocks into a narrow hallway. You got the space to build legit layouts, terraced rock gardens for shell dwellers, broad carpeted crypt fields, big mid-level structures for gourami to hover under, all without your fish feeling boxed in. Plus, since it's only 16 inches high, maintenance is a dream. No shoulder-deep contortions to plant new stems or vacuum the gravel. Trust me, your arms will thank you. And stocking? Oh baby, this tank is basically the fish equivalent of a giant Costco haul. You could roll a big school of Harlequin rasboras, a pair of Bolivian rams, a cleanup crew of Corydoras, and still have room to think, maybe I'll add a Hillstream loach. The biocapacity means more fish, less stress, and your filter can cruise instead of constantly running a half marathon. But then there's the psychological angle. It gives you the confidence to experiment. People start with live bearers here, then go, wait a second, what if I add CO2? What if I try a carpet? The next thing you know, you are $300 deep on a specialized shrimp, and the entire front row of your tank is waving with Alternanthera. In case you couldn't guess, this bad boy goes straight to S tier. If tanks were Hogwarts houses, this would be that effortlessly cool Ravenclaw who still throws the best parties. You get your fish space, your escapes look stunning, and your maintenance is breezy. Plus, your stress levels plummet. That is an aquarium win on every front. But now, for the 55. This is the tank you see lined up at pet stores under buzzing fluorescent lights, usually on sale in some $1 per gallon promo that has you plotting the entire drive home. It's the classic big beginner tank, the one that non-hobbyists see and go, whoa, that's a serious setup. With roughly 48 inches of length, it's a literal runway for schooling fish. Picture like 20 to 30 cardinal tetras zipping back and forth like they're doing synchrony for the Olympics. You got room for mid-tier peaceful cichlids like German blue rams or keyholes, and don't get me started on them rainbows. These dudes show off colors so intense you'll think someone slipped a disco light under your hood. Now, it's not all sparkles and serotonin though, because it's only 13 inches from front to back, so you don't get that lush aquascaping depth. Big rock piles or deep driftwood forests can start looking kinda cramped. It's basically a hallway tank. So it's amazing for horizontal swimmers, but not the best for sprawling multi-level layouts. You might end up stacking up instead of building forward. And then there's the reality of maintenance too. It's still beginner possible, but water changes are now a real event. You're lugging buckets or finally caving and buying a python siphon because your back threatens to unionize. And you're gonna need a decent stand, which means no balancing on sketchy IKEA side tables. But overall, I gotta say, still a glorious A-tier pick. You get water volume stability, endless stocking options, and the prestige of telling your aquarium club, yeah, that's my 55-gallon. I mean, nothing says stable adult life quite like dozens of healthy fish and an aquascape that's probably more organized than your kitchen. Alright, so I know some of you keyboard warriors are itching to comment, bro, where's the 75-gallon? What about 125? My Uncle Barber's cousin's reptiles room has a 220. Valid, okay? Big tanks are awesome, but also, hold on there, cowboy. 75s, 90s, and 125s. Those tanks absolutely slap. You get insane water stability, basically a VIP pass for dream stocking lists, and all the space for the monster aquascapes that could put some botanical gardens to shame. Not to mention your filtration options are limitless and your fish stress levels are practically non-existent. Your electric bill? Okay, let's not ruin the mood. But here's the thing, they're typically beyond beginner range. Not because they're hard, big water actually means easier chemistry, but because you're suddenly playing with the big leagues. You're gonna need a heavy-duty stand that won't collapse mid-Netflix binge, and floors that can handle 800 to 1,200 pounds of liquid life, and a wallet that can handle, well, everything else. Also, maintenance turns into low-key gym day, hauling buckets or hoses, trimming plant forests that regenerate like your anxiety at 2 o'clock in the morning, and keeping up with a filtration system that looks suspiciously close to small engines. So yeah, if you're already hooked on fish keeping and you want to level up, absolutely, I mean, go for it. But for your average bright-eyed beginner who just impulse bought a betta after a target run, that's probably a season 3 storyline, not the pilot episode. Stick with the 5 to 55 range to start, get your feet wet literally, and then by all means, go drop your savings on a 125 and send me pics so we can all live vicariously. But that's the Tank T, from tiny chaos cubes to big boy 55s. If this saved you from a future fish meltdown, hit like, smash subscribe, and drop your tank size or your most tragic fish fail in the comments, because you know what, we've all been there. Now, go feed your fish and drink some water yourself.